today. Finally, Nintendo finally did a Direct again, finally. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. It's been a bracing week here in Victoria. Turns out we can still make snow.
Yeah! After nearly a year of sitting on my ass, I shoveled the walk outside the moon base and certainly didn't throw up.
Are you okay?
Yes, and so's your windshield.
I don't have a car.
Great!
Skyward Sword is getting a fresh coat of HD paint and is being re-released for the Switch. Originally released for the Wii in 2011, so like a year or two ago, please don't correct me, Skyward Sword is seen as a logical midpoint between the older Zelda games and Breath of the Wild, according to producer Eiji Aonuma, and it was originally received well by critics with the notable pain point of the Wii motion controls. Well, good news. While the Wiimote and Nunchuck motion controls have been updated to work with two Joy-Cons, and they're making two very fancy Zelda-themed Joy-Cons for the occasion, they have also added a button-only control layout, which elegantly maps directional sword attacks to the secondary control stick. Not only does this new control scheme make the game playable to those with Switch Lite systems, it also makes the game playable to, let's be honest, most people. Because we're still coasting along in the year 2020.5, and I can barely be fucked to stand up, let alone swing my arms around. When Netflix asks me if I am still watching, the answer is yes, but if I'm going to tell Netflix that, I have to grab the controller and it's all the way in the middle of my torso.
A short update on how that whole Stadia thing is going. According to reports from obviously disgruntled ex-employees, a week prior to the game dev studio closure, Google Stadia Vice President Phil Harrison sent everyone an email that said, Stadia Games and Entertainment has made great progress building a diverse and talented team and establishing a strong lineup of Stadia-exclusive games. And then continued, we will confirm the SG&E investment envelope shortly, which will, in turn, inform the SG&E strategy and 2021 objectives and key results. Well, it looks like the investment looked a lot like the GameStop share price curve because it only took 7 days for Google to kill their own studio. Naturally, the developers learned of the SG&E shutdown at the same time as the rest of the world because that's the easiest way to keep people from leaking secrets about development. The devs were left, for want of a harsher word, confused. And when asked for an explanation, they were told to wait 3 days for a conference call with VP Harrison, who during that call admitted he was aware of the incoming layoffs when he wrote that email. I understand the 3-day wait. People need time to process after such a life-changing event, and I imagine it's a lot to come to terms with, but then again, I've never had to lay off an entire studio a week after blowing smoke up their ass.
A game developer who goes by the pseudonym Mike, and more on that in a moment, has been banned from Steam for review manipulation, which is not exactly what Mike did, but kind of. Mike didn't actually manipulate review scores for his game Emoji Evolution, which appeared to have an aggregate score of very positive. According to Ars Technica, the actual aggregate scores ranged from mixed to positive. But what Mike did is notice that the aggregate score on a Steam page is placed very close to the name of the game's developer and publisher and in the same font and color. So Mike made his developer and publisher names very problematic by making them both very positive. By which I mean the words very positive appeared on the store just under the actual score, and if you're not paying close attention, you could be easily fooled. It's a little telling that Steam banned Mike for this, but he seems to think it's hilarious, even admitting himself that the game is bad, and really, the only people who would have been got by this are people who were already considering downloading a game called Emoji Evolution, so really it was a victimless crime.
Hot on the heels of the first Nintendo Direct in quite a while, it's another Nintendo Roundup. And by the way, Nintendo, thanks for airing this on a Wednesday. It lets us be timely for once. If you didn't have time to catch the 50-minute Direct, don't worry. We're here to fill you in on all the news that I could be bothered to remember. I can only promise that it'll take less time. Eager to do some investigation? Then you'll be glad to hear that Famicom Detective Club is being remade for the Switch and available for the first time in English. You've never heard of Famicom Detective Club before? No. I understand. That makes sense. It came out in 1988. It's only something us real Nintendo fans have heard of. And no, I won't be buying it. Now it's too mainstream. Splatoon 3 was announced, and from all appearances, it's mostly a character generator and a train ride simulator that takes place in the desert. I'm eager to see what happens when your squid kid finally makes it out of the New Vegas sewers and enters Freeside. Also, France is over! No More Heroes 3 will be released August 27th, and it looks like the every game, which is why I think Ian's so excited to play it. As a modern salaryman, he only gets to choose one game to buy every year, and this year, it's probably another Yakuza game, but hey, maybe he can look over Corey's shoulder while she plays it. Mario Golf Super Rush will be released June 25th and captures all the frenetic fun of speed golf, such as simultaneous tee-offs and frantic dashing down the fairway, with none of the surreptitious drinking and blatant drinking that currently plagues the sport. Eiji Aonuma showed up briefly to let us know that there was no new information about Breath of the Wild 2. Aonuma's role seems to have divided into directing the Zelda series and emerging from the studio every so often to silence the internet goldfish who will inevitably forget that he already said there's no new news. Monster Hunter Rise was also announced for the Switch. I would tell you more, but if I keep talking, Adam's probably going to burst in here and yell at old Steve Beach to shut up again.
More news from the Nintendo Direct. The Square Enix team behind Octopath Traveler announced the next game in what they are calling the HD 2D series of RPGs with three-dimensional yet retro-styled graphics. It's being advertised as a turn-based tactics game with deeply branching storylines based on player choice, and it's called Project Triangle Strategy. Now, they were quick to clarify that this is only a working title, and the triangle part refers to the struggles and balance between the three nations of Glenbrook, Hyzante, and Aesfrost on the continent of Norzelia, and I can no longer tell if we ran out of good fantasy names in the mid-2000s or if they've always been bad. Now, if you recall, Octopath Traveler was only a working title as well, and look what happened there. Of course, Octopath Traveler is a considerably more elegant title than Project Triangle Strategy, which rolls off the tongue about as well as Operation Tactical Rhombus or Hexagonal Combat Maneuver. But I think that's because we don't expect that kind of game title from this Square Enix team, while the Kingdom Hearts folks have been getting away with nomenclature murder for decades. If they announced a new KH game called Kingdom Hearts Project Triangle Strategy, nobody would bat an eye. But we're here now. You've announced that it's coming in 2022. There's a demo in the eShop, and instead of running with a working title you won't be embarrassed of, something like Tri-Scale or Norzelia Balance, or even just Three Nations, you know as well as we do, you're going to be stuck with releasing Triangle Strategy, and Daisuke-san in marketing is never going to live it down.
Are you saying we should change the name of our upcoming mobile game, Project Parallelogram Pigglesworth?
Yeah, let's go back to the original title.
Professor Pigglesworth and the 1001 microtransactions? That might be showing our hand a little early.
Good point. What about Professor Pigglesworth HD Reloaded? That way, people will think it's a remake of a beloved classic.
Great idea. If anyone asks, we can just say it was originally an import title and they probably aren't cool enough to have heard of it.
Nice.
Coming up, speedrunner Joden has beaten all the dungeons and Ganon in Breath of the Wild using only his feet in an impressive 8 hours and 18 minutes. And so far, nobody seems to have told him he could have just used his hands. Coming up, speedrunner Joden has beaten... Speedin? Coming up, Speedwater...
Speedwater?
Couldn't even get through the first word. Speedwater.
Speed wetter?
Oh, the year was 17...
I've had 4 liters of water and I'm going to bed.
All right.
Get ready for speed wetting. You know what I've always enjoyed about the Nintendo Directs? Mm-hmm. Is the laconic pace.
Yeah.
In particular, I like when there's a trailer where it's like, this new game is going to be coming out on Switch later this year. And then the Nintendo announcer comes in and says, that's right, this game will be coming out on Switch, so look for it later this year. And then we cut back to the Nintendo executive who is like, I hope that you enjoyed that reveal of this game. It will be coming out on Switch, so please look for it later this year.
Yeah.
Like, like, okay, I got it the first time, but I appreciate that you're keen on it. Yeah. Although actually I really did like, he did the Switch snap thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then did it a second time. And then the third time, comedy rule of threes, he goes, whoo, and it makes a golf swing noise.
Oh, for
when
Mario
it goes
Golf,
to the Mario Golf
That's
announcement.
good.
Yeah.
The Mario Golf trailer was the one that stuck with me the most because I've never heard that announcer before.
She was new.
She's brand new and has this amazing voice that I'm just kind of like, you sound little hints of like Carrie Fisher from the later trilogy, like that. I'm hearing a woman who's not. I'm not hearing like a 20-year-old woman. I'm hearing like a 45, like 50-year-old woman. That kind of like, she has a little bit thicker of a voice, and I'm kind of here for that idea of like, get a whole bunch of different voices on this trailer. I loved the difference in sound.
I liked when the Nintendo announcer, who always does the directs, was doing No More Heroes 3.
Yeah.
And was just like, is this the right trailer?
Yeah.
Like there was one moment where he was like slightly off mic, was just like, is this correct? Like,
Aliens,
I don't
what?
know. How do I? Sorry, what? Okay, and it's like, yeah, that's how I feel looking at the trailer for any Grasshopper manufacturer game.
True, yeah.
But it was a real, why do we do this live? Like moment.
I'm glad they play with they're letting them act a little bit. It does lighten the mood a bit.
Yeah, it was like, let's just ask around internally. Does anyone understand what the hell this game is? No? Okay, we should just lean into it then.
My favorite moment really from the trailer, I think, was World's End Club, because they pitched the whole thing as, hey, so you're stuck in an underwater abandoned amusement park. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know, from the makers of Danganronpa. And I'm like, oh. And then Heather had to fill me in later. That doesn't mean Spike Chunsoft and doesn't mean like whoever, like the name of the studio. It means the people who originally worked on Danganronpa started a new studio called Tukyo or something like that. And they're now making this game. But I was like, oh, Christ, another death game. Like, I'm sick of this horse shit because there's so it's like isekai in manga. It's like one of the most overused tropes has been for a very long time. And then all of a sudden it's like, the game is canceled, and I'm like, what? And then they're like, now you have to get back to Tokyo. I'm like, what? Like, now I want to play this game because
it's a side scroller.
Yeah.
What?
But apparently Heather's like, if you go look at the website, they don't drop on the website that this is a death game that gets derailed and canceled. They make you think it's a death game on the website. And I'm like, did they give extra away that they weren't supposed to? There's no way. They had to have approved this trailer. Yeah. So somebody must have said, you can't just tell them that it's a death game because people won't buy it. We need to warn them ahead of time. It's a death game, but then it's not.
Yeah, you can't Doki Doki Literature Club this. You can't be like, oh yeah, no, it's a death game. You're trapped in an underwater amusement park. That's the game. And then be like, fooled you. That's
20 minutes in, it's gone, right?
You can't do that because people will be like, no.
Yeah, I paid for
this game actually looks interesting.
It does, yeah. I probably won't play it though. It's too mainstream.
What did you think of the trailer for Neon White?
I can't tell if it's a rail shooter.
I have no idea what that game is, but I was like,
it's too fast.
Yeah, I was like, this is wow, okay. And then at the end, I was like, who made this game? And it's made by Ben Esposito.
Oh.
Who made Donut County?
Yeah. Which
is the game where you're a raccoon who you control a hole in the ground and you suck up all the stuff in the. That's the same developer.
I would not have ever guessed that. Holy crap.
No. Donut County, by the way, is great, and you should play it.
A first-person card-based shooter is a really weird thing.
/ visual novel.
Yeah, and it feels like what they did is throw a bunch of darts at a wall and just be like, I think this is what we're going for. Who knows, right? I'd like to see some actual, like, people playing it as opposed to just, here's what the gameplay looks like. It's like, no, show me somebody playing the game and show what it turns into. That'll be interesting.
If we talk for much more, it'll just turn into CheckPoint.
Yeah, let's not do that.